To excellence, coming to you live from the KQCK radio station compound, nestled in the beautiful Santan Mountains. Mark J. Victor, world-renowned man of peace and attorney for freedom. In a world of coercion and war, a peaceful man stands tall. Now, for your weekly dose of freedom and peace. A peaceful man stands tall. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of peace himself, Mark J. Victor, brings to you the attorney for freedom.
Okay, welcome to the show. And wasn't quite right with the lead-in. This isn't Mark Victor, as you probably are well aware of by looking now. My name is Mike Wasden. I am on the show with Mark, most of the shows. And I'm filling in for Mark today because he's taking a well-deserved break. So I will be filling in. Me and Joe will be bouncing questions back and forth to each other here on different issues today. And you are welcome to call in as well.
And you can do that at?
You can do that. And Joe, give the number.
480-745-1033.
You saved me, Joe, because I didn't remember the number. Thank you very much for that. Like I said, Mark is away, and I will be filling in today just for today. He will be back next week, as usual, with another great show. And hopefully today we'll have a great show as well. I was going to start, Joe, with some things that are in the news right now. As most people are aware, there was a shooting in Phoenix yesterday at an office building. A man walked in and shot, I think it was 3 people, although I think a few others may have been hurt as well. One of them, last I heard, died, and the shooter was still at large the last time I checked. So another gun incident. But
it seems to just be the new thing now. You get mad at something and you just go start blasting.
And you wake up every day and you almost expect to see another gun story.
Right, you're like, what? Yeah. Did it happen already? Did it happen yet? Or is it going to?
It's almost becoming a thing that we don't even, it's almost numbing anymore because we're just so used to it.
I mean, I'm sitting at home now I've got 2 rifles and a pistol. I just lay one on each side of me and the pistol on my lap, and I just sit in a corner facing the door. Because I'm just waiting, for home invasions to start. Everyone with these guns going on. It's like, whoa, what's going on?
You don't have an assault rifle, do you?
No, of course not. It's a Red Ryder BB gun.
Oh, okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
But I can shoot you a snake's eye out 30 feet.
That's good. That's always good. But yeah, this shooting yesterday, of course, I was waiting for the media to jump on it as they always do. But one of the interesting things is it was an assault rifle that was used. First of all, the term assault rifle is very misleading because there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Rifles don't assault people, just like cars don't assault people and all the other things out there. But for the argument's purpose here, we'll say assault rifle. And there was none yesterday. It was as far as I know anyway, unless the story changes, it was a handgun. So I guess the media won't have anything to
It's an
talk
assault
about.
Handgun.
An assault. Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. Everything can be used in an assault. I mean, a fork can be used as an assault weapon.
I can assault you with a rubber band.
That's right. You can. You can assault me with your finger. I mean, in many ways. Yeah. So I don't know what the media is going to, talk about now that this, this probably be a short-lived story because there's nothing for them to grab onto on it. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that's going on in the news right now today, and there's always something to go on with the gun talk, always, and with Obama and different things that he's got going on. And another interesting story I heard was Obama wants to do something about the safety of football. He's really concerned about head injuries, and he made some statement that he's got 2 daughters, but he made some statement that if he had a son, he would never allow him to play football because it's too dangerous. So he wants to do something about that. Well,
I have to let the phone ring a little bit longer because I heard when I was reading about, and I was just reading a big article on how Obama, how his marriage is actually a prearranged thing.
Really?
Have you heard about that?
No,
I just read it yesterday.
I did not hear about it.
And how he's the most feminine president we've ever. People speculate. I mean, he could be gay.
Well, not that matters.
I don't care.
I really don't care about that. I mean, he could still do a great job as president.
Right.
If he was gay, that would have nothing
but
to do with it.
But that would explain a lot about the football.
Yeah.
I mean, for him personally, I'm talking about period because he's a little feminine. That's all.
Yeah, but it's what bothers me about it is it's the nanny state again.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not into football, and I have no problem with gays.
You're not into football? I thought you liked football.
I'm not really into football, no.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you liked it. Anyway, what gets me about it is the whole nanny state again. It's interfering in things that government has no business interfering in. Things like that, I mean, it's and who's going to really watch football? What his plan is to, I guess, make it to where it's either a touch or a flag football type thing and do away with the roughness of the game. And if he has to sign an executive order, someone told me. I don't really know how much of this is true, but I heard about it, and it just seems so ridiculous. I mean, who is going to pay to watch a game like that? It's going to destroy football as we know it. But it's just one more incident of the nanny state coming in and trying to regulate things which they have no business regulating. Things like how much soda can be in your cup, as Bloomberg wants to do, has done in New York by banning large sodas. These things are ridiculous. This is not government's role. There was nothing the founding fathers had intended for government to do in regards to these things. And we are the ones to blame. We are the ones to blame for allowing this to happen. And it will continue to happen until we do something about it. So today we're going to talk about freedom, like we always do, but libertarian issues, and we'll take your calls on that. If you have any questions about things that we discuss, we'd love to hear from you. And it looks like Joe's jotting down some calls over there right now. That's great. And we'll take a first call if you've got one.
Yeah, we've got Ron Penna from Milwaukee. He said I must be gay because I don't like football. So I'm good with that. I'll go gay. I'm gay today. No one will watch football, he says, ever again if that happened. And he said he's also following up very closely. He's a football coach. And he said it's not just football. He said he is trying to write an executive order on all sports that contain any type of violence that he feels violent, including high school wrestling and many other sports that you could attain an injury in, which is the same as walking down the road, he said.
Wow.
Holy mackerel.
When I heard this, I didn't know if this was something somebody just started as, kind of a funny thing, or, when you see, first of all, it's the internet, so you never know what to believe. You hear things and you're like, well, okay, yesterday, and I actually posted it yesterday, and it was about Obama being indicted by a court on various charges. Of course, it wasn't real. It was all a bogus thing. But still, this just goes to show you what you're on there. So I never believe everything I hear on the internet. So I wasn't sure. It was nice to have somebody call in and verify that this is true, that he does have plans to do this. And it's just horrendous that government would even want to get involved in areas like this, and that we would even allow it. And this is just one of the many things that we talk about on this show. And why we're libertarians, why it is we are libertarians.
Sally from Newcastle, West Virginia said, next time we should just vote in a U.S. citizen.
Well, I don't know. I don't know in this case whether it helped or not. What if Obama was a U.S. citizen? Would he be any different?
Do they not like football and sports in other countries? Or I mean, what does that mean?
Well, there's the whole thing with going on with his
birth.
And I don't know. Personally, I don't even really care. I mean, he's a terrible president if you ask me whether he's a citizen or not. So it doesn't really matter on that. But getting back to what we were discussing here, the libertarian issues, why I'm a libertarian, why Joe is a new libertarian, and Joe is a new libertarian these days, and we've converted him, is because we feel that, as libertarians feel, that we own ourselves, that we get to decide what we do with ourselves, what we put in our body, the choices we make, the money that we spend, the money that we make, all our decisions. There are other people out there who feel that the government should have some say in either some part of that or all of it. We don't agree with that. We think it's ours. We are the iron-fisted ruler of ourselves, and nobody has a higher say than we do. So we get into a lot of arguments on this show, not really arguments, but discussions with different people that call in about the role of government and how they should, what they should be doing and how involved they should be in our lives. So I'd like to take some calls today from people. I'd like to hear from the other side, people who are more what I call statist. Statist means that you feel that the government should have some role in deciding things in your life, and I'd like to know why. I would like to kick that around. So that would be a great call if somebody could call in and take the other side of that argument. I'd love to hear that, and we'll go from there. Joe, you got another call?
Yeah, here's an interesting one here. Cynthia Miles, I think she said Saint Germain. I think she was on a mobile phone, kind of cutting in and out, so I did the best I could. And she said, "This is for Mr. Victor." So you
Okay.
ready, Mr. Victor?
Well, I can't speak for Mark, though.
Right. We're kidding about that. This is Mike Wasden. He's
Okay.
filling in for Mark Victor
Yes.
today. She says, I moved to a rural area here in Maine. And I think she said it was called Center, Maine. I could be wrong about that. But I moved to a rural area here in Maine to be left alone. And now there is talk with the town council to outlaw guns in our town. Can that be done? Can you make a law or an ordinance that you can't have guns in your...
Well, I mean...
I thought that was a federal thing.
Well, what can be done? Well, I mean, I guess anything can be
Can
done.
you outlaw brownies?
Whether it would hold or not, it's a different story. Like, for instance, with Obama's recent gun, he wants to pass a lot of gun legislation banning certain things. Now, whether it holds up constitutionally is another thing. He can try it if he wants, I guess. He can sign the executive order and say this is law, but most likely, I would think the Supreme Court would strike it down. Anymore, I don't have a lot of faith in that anymore. I mean, the way the Supreme Court has ruled in the past on some things, it's starting to scare me now. But I would at least hope that this would be one area that they would strike it down. But, I guess it's just going to be a matter of, wait and see on that as far as that goes.
See the thing on the internet that said they're trying to ban pen caps? I liked that post. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Well, you know what, though? That just highlights the ridiculousness of this. That's what this is all about. It's I've seen all kinds of things like that. And I posted it myself where you've got the car and they say this is an assault car. You've got the fork and it says this is the assault fork. Just highlighting how ridiculous it is that anything can be used as a weapon. I mean, this whole thing with guns kill people. Guns don't kill people. And I know you've heard it 1,000 times and it's been said many times, but guns do not kill people. People kill people. Guns are nothing more than a tool that people may use to kill people, but they also have lots of reasonable purposes to defend people, defend property, defend yourself. So they do have a lot of useful purposes. But yes, they can be used in the wrong way too, just like anything else. I mean, actually, if you look on the FBI's list of weapons, I think the most commonly used weapon is a baseball bat. But you don't see anybody out there wanting to ban baseball bats. Of course not. That just shows you how ridiculous this is. And so, that's where we are today on this.
Well, Biff from Yarborough, North Carolina says, and he'd like to know your opinion, do you feel the government can or will try to come into our houses and take our guns? How could this happen? What would you do?
Well, I look at history as a good teacher on things like this. When I say will something like this happen, it has happened already. I mean, if you look at history, throughout history.
When did this happen?
Many times before. There's an interesting video. It's put out by the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms, and it's called Innocence Betrayed. You can find it on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and just type in Innocence Betrayed, it'll come up. Everybody should watch this video. I think it's no more than about an hour long.
Innocence portrayed?
Innocence betrayed. And what it goes over is gun banning over the years, not just in Germany, but all through the different, all the way back, in the different parts of Africa where they've done it, all these parts. And you see what happens as soon as the government starts taking people's weapons. The next thing they do is start doing all kinds of human atrocities. I mean,
like making you get flu shots. It's funny. It's funny. We got flu shots yesterday, and I really didn't know if I should get one or not. And I never have, but I've had the flu twice now. And I heard a big thing that there's an epidemic, and the doctor told my doc talk show. She told me it's an epidemic. All healthcare workers need to get one. You should go get one. So I brought the family down yesterday. We get our flu shots.
And everyone's sick.
My daughter passes out as soon as she gets hers, hits the floor, hits her head. I'm feeling like crap today. My arm feels numb and it hurts, and I'm feeling like dizzy and my ears are ringing. My wife's laying in bed just moaning like, what's going on? What's up, dude? What's up with
Joe,
that?
I like I told you. I mean, you should have taken a hint from Piers Morgan. He did a show where he was gonna prove that everyone was crazy that was saying don't get these flu shots.
Didn't he say instead of the flu shot though, eat fire ants?
I don't remember that.
Because I didn't want to eat fire ants. I'm allergic to those.
But he did to prove that the flu shots are safe. Of course, he did a show where he got a flu shot on the air to prove that they were safe. And of course, 2 days later, he got very ill and sick, and it was kind of ironic that it kind of backfired on him. But I don't get flu shots. I don't trust anything that the government has out there that they want to put in me. So I don't get these things. I can't speak for you. You can do whatever you like, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't get them. But and Joe's now paying the price for receiving that one he received yesterday. But some other things that are going on right now is tonight, Channel 12 News is going to be doing, AZ Family is going to be doing a special about Mark.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
I am excited to see that.
I have not seen it yet. It's going to air tonight at 10 on Channel 12. It's Lynn Sue Cooney is the one that does it. She shot.
And they were out here in the studio.
Yeah, she shot some of the footage here. She shot some at Mark's house. She shot some at the office. And it's going to be a whole special about Mark. Different. Going from everything. From his from attorney to his run for the Senate.
I'm going to put that on the website. I'm going to record it, put it on the website. Heck yeah.
And and the talk show here and different things that'll be going. And as somebody who's known Mark for a long time, I guess a little over 30 years now.
That's a long time.
I could have probably been a good source for her if she wanted to talk to me on that, but she didn't. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see how good they did on it. I know some of the things they're going to cover because she sent it ahead of time, so I do know some of the things they're going to cover, and one of it's going to be, Mark's willingness to take high-profile cases that nobody else would want to take, cases that.
I often get asked that.
Yeah.
I often get asked by people like on the Elizabeth Johnson. They say, that's all cool and stuff. How does he make money? People ask me all the time, is he a very poor man?
How does he make money?
I'm like,
she paid for his services. I mean, he didn't do this for free. It wasn't a public service.
See, that's what people think.
No.
He's a good guy. He might have. Who knows?
Mark is a capitalist. He's not afraid to admit that he's a capitalist. He likes money, but money's not his most important thing.
That's right.
Freedom is more important than money. But there's nothing wrong with making money. Don't ever be embarrassed or ashamed about making money because there's nothing wrong with making money.
That's the biggest problem in the U.S. with business people. It really is. I read a couple of books that say the same thing. People are afraid generally to ask other people for money.
Why?
They're embarrassed. They're ashamed. When you do something for someone, they're afraid to ask them for money.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Do you deserve it, first of all?
Yeah, right.
Because if you're just asking for money,
panhandling,
of course, that's different. But if you've done a service for somebody or provided a product, and you've both agreed ahead of time on what you need to be paid. I mean, the person needs to pay you. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. So no, that's not it. Do we have another?
By the way, Mac from Nashville just gave me some news. It's giving me the goosebumps. He said, "I'm in trouble now." He said my family's in trouble because those flu shots are laced with the virus. He said I'm crazy, and now it's too late.
Well, I don't know. Like I say, I can't speak.
I hope that's not true.
Well, I guess we'll just have to watch you, Joe.
I hope it's not true.
How you turn out, if you start foaming at the mouth.
If I pass out during the show, don't give me mouth to mouth.
No, I promise. You can count on that, Joe.
All right.
I'm just going to look down at you and say, Joe, you don't look good. I don't think you're going to make it.
Even if I open my mouth and look like I want that, don't.
No. You can trust it. If you got stuff coming out of your mouth, I'm not going anywhere near you. So.
Thank you. Even if I don't.
But no, I don't know what's in those things. I don't. But that's the problem. I don't know what's in them, and I'm not going to take them. So I would rather take my chances with the flu. I seriously would. And I'm sure if you had a second choice right now, another option, you would probably do the same.
My arm's like 190 degrees in that area, about this big, dude, around the shot, and it hurt.
Yeah, and your whole family, right? I mean,
yeah,
your
my daughter passed out, hit the floor.
And your wife's sick right now?
She's laying in bed.
I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I've gone over 50 years now without one of those flu shots. And
well, you need to get one today.
No, I don't think so. And I've actually had the flu before. It's no fun. No, don't get me wrong. I've had the flu several times in my life. It's not a fun thing to have. But I still, if you gave me the choice of taking my choices against the flu or taking the flu shot, I'm going to take the flu. I just feel safer that way. So, but getting back to what we were talking about, Mark, and people do ask that question a lot. They say, how Mark, how can you take these cases with these people, like, they're these bad people? I mean, do you
very sensitive, very moral?
Yeah, they want to know. They want to know, and I get asked this a lot. Do you guys take cases from people that are guilty? And I find that.
Oh my God, is that a real question?
Yes, people really think that Mark actually, talks to these people and says, okay, now if you're guilty, I can't defend you. They don't understand how the system works. The Founding Fathers set up this system, and it's a very good system. It's set up, and it is slanted slightly.
Wait a minute. Criminal attorneys are there. You can tell them anything. Mm-hmm. They can't say anything.
Oh, absolutely.
They're bound.
Yeah.
But he can't take a case if you tell him you did it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, I think people think that he actually asked the people. Now,
gotcha.
And if they say, "Oh, I did
tell
it,"
me, are you guilty?
If I did it, and he says, "Well, I can't take your case." Well, how many actually cases would there be out there if every attorney turned down people that were good? And first of all, that's not the way the system works. The system was set up to where everybody deserves a trial. Even guilty people deserve their day in court and are going to get it. Now, what would you rather have somebody like Mark do? Take someone's case and then not do anything to defend them and act like it's, just be another member of the other side, be another prosecutor in the case? No, he's going to do his best. Mark, if you know anything about Mark, you know that he is, one of his slogans is committed to excellence, and he is. As a former Marine, everything is about excellence. Everything is about, being the best, and he's not going to take someone's case and then not work on it. If you were involved in anything that you needed an attorney for, you would want Mark on your case. Trust me on this. I know. I sit in on the meetings. I sit in on some of the stuff that goes on, and I'm telling you, he has a mind for this, unlike anybody else. And just mentioning the Elizabeth Johnson case for one in particular, Elizabeth had several other attorneys before Mark, and none of them could come up with anything. In fact, when Mark took over the case, a lot of the attorneys told him, Mark, there really isn't anything here for you. You're just going to basically have to hold her hand and walk her through the system. And she was looking at one point, I think, at about 27 years for this. And regardless of what you feel about the outcome and her, it doesn't matter because Mark did his job. He did his job, and that's what he was paid to do. And so don't get mad at Mark if it didn't turn out like you wanted. He did his job. He did it well. And she's probably going to be out probably this time next year. And like I said, whether you think that's great or not, it doesn't matter. Mark is not to blame. Mark's job is simply to make sure that the state does their job and that they don't cross any lines. He wants to make sure that they are held accountable. Before you put somebody in a cage, they should be able to prove their case. And they should be able to really prove. It shouldn't just be some, a lot of people like to try things in the court of public opinion, Joe. They like to say, oh, she's guilty. I can tell she's guilty because just look at her. I got that a lot during the Elizabeth Johnson. She's guilty. I said, well, I don't know whether she's guilty or not. I don't know what she did. All I know is what she says. And they say, well, look, I know she's guilty. They can you imagine if we held
you must be. Are you reading my notes?
Really? Is that what it is?
Well, first of all, that was amazing because obviously they're listening at my daughter's school because that was the school nurse that called in and said, "Oh, I just want you to know her headache's feeling better, but her arm is still really burning."
Okay.
And they just put ice on her arm.
What did the nurse have to say about these flu shots? What did she think?
Oh, they don't ever say anything.
Yeah?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right.
So she just wanted to let me know that Felina's starting to feel better. She's on an uphill swing.
Oh, that's good.
Well, believe me, I'm glad.
Yes.
But Sister Raina from St. George called in and said, it is wrong to defend these crazy killers like Elizabeth Johnson. How does she know that?
She doesn't know that. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Can you imagine if this is how our legal system worked, that things were tried in the matter of in public opinion, the court of public opinion?
Thank you, Sister Raina.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine?
Bless you.
We just went on. We put somebody. Here's how we do it, Joe. We put them on TV, and we ask everybody to call in, like on American Idol, and you call in one code for guilty, one code for not guilty, right? And we just decide, and you just look at her and you decide her fate like that. You don't have any evidence. You don't know what actually happened. You're just going to decide it on your opinion.
Can you throw a bless you out to the sister?
Oh, yes. Bless you, sister. Bless you. All right. And there was someone else that wanted to call out, too, right?
Who
else do we have that wanted to call out?
Let's see who we got here. I'm glad you said that.
Somebody called in, and I said I would give them a call out. A couple of people.
Well, we had Beth Ann from Freeport, Bahamas call in. Right. Thank you, Beth Ann.
Thanks, Beth Ann, for calling in. And we've got a couple.
Terry Berkeley and Mark Berkeley, their 30th wedding anniversary in Boston, Mass.
Oh, congratulations, Boston. Hey, that's Mark's stomping ground up there. That's where he's from originally.
Right.
So that's I don't know if they call it because of that or not, but yeah, that's great.
Congratulations. Those are our two shout-outs there.
But getting back to the Elizabeth Johnson now. Look, is that what really people want? Would they really rather these things be decided by people's opinion, or would you rather that people gather the evidence, present it, and let supposedly a non-biased set of people that have heard all the evidence, let them decide what has happened here? That's the way the founders set this up. And you know what? They did set it up it's true, they did set it up in a way that was slightly slanted toward the defendant. And there's a reason why. They believed that it was better that 9 guilty men go free than 1 innocent person go to jail. That's the way they set the system up. So they did set it up to where there has to be a burden of proof. And who does that burden of proof lie with? It lies with the state, not the defendant. It is not up to the defense attorney to prove his client is innocent. It is up to the state to prove they're guilty.
It is in Mexico.
Well, we're not Mexico.
Oh, that's right. We're not. That's right.
For a good reason. But is that what people would want? Would they rather have it the other way? Because one day you may find yourself. Yeah, one day you may find yourself in that situation. And believe me, it's easy to get there. You may not. I'm not talking about you kill somebody, but it's easy to get there many other ways in this country where you're sitting in that same situation, and you're going to be glad not only that the system works that way, but that you have a defense attorney like Mark Victor. If you do, you're going to be damn glad about that.
Yeah,
no
kidding.
I can tell you that. So, I mean, you can say what you want, and you can say that these people are animals, and I don't know. I don't have passed any judgment on these people because I don't know what really happened. As far as I know, in the Elizabeth Johnson case, she gave her child to somebody in a park in Texas, and that's the last she saw of him. Now, it doesn't sound very wise to me, sure, and it sounds terrible as a parent, but is she guilty of murder? How do you bring that to that point? I mean, you've decided that she's guilty of murder. There's no evidence to support this. You just decided this. So this is how you feel that people would rather be tried like this, and it's ridiculous.
See how that feels when somebody talks a bunch of crap about you and everyone assumes that that's true.
Yeah.
See how it makes you feel.
Yeah. It's just, I would rather live in a society to where the evidence is presented and you've got people that actually spent the time to look at all of it, and then you've got an impartial group of people called a jury that gets to hear everything, and they get to decide based on that, rather than the public who just doesn't like somebody and decides that they're guilty of whatever it is they decide they're guilty of. Those are called witch hunts. We used to have those in this country. Witch hunts. They would just drag people out in the street,
right. Burn
them,
or hang them.
Yeah, is that really what people want? I would much rather that even if someone is guilty and they go free, I would still rather that than have the other possibility with witch hunts and things like that. I think people need to really think hard before they say these things, because I don't know if they really believe it. I just think they're acting emotionally, knee-jerk reactions. Yes, he is. They allow these things their emotions to take over, and they don't let their brains engage. Because if you really think about it, this is the best system, the system that we have in place now. Did you have another call, Joe?
Yeah, that was the guy who said this guy on here should have a show too.
Well, thank you very much for that. I've been around Mark for about 30 years now, so I think I can fairly well fit in and fill in for him when he's not around. I pretty much know the lingo by now, and it's funny because I didn't always used to be this way. I mean,
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Joe. I was once a flaming liberal.
I always wondered if you tainted Mark in the good way, or if he got you to come to the right side.
It would seem that way that it was me because I'm older, right? I've got 5 years on Mark. I met Mark. Here's the strange thing.
I always thought you were in your 30s.
I'm in my 30s.
I thought so.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that. But no, I will be 52 in July, so I've got a couple years on Mark, about 5 or 6 maybe, I think, or something. I met Mark in a strange way. It was I was married to my first wife, and there were only 2 good things that came out of that marriage. One was Mark, and the other one was my son Adam. But other than that, no. But seriously, I met Mark because her younger brother was a friend of Mark's, and Mark would come over, and we were staying with her family when we first got married. Mark would come over to the house, and we would start these political conversations, and I think he was like 15 at the time, and I was about 20, I believe it was. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid is bright for a 15-year-old kid. He would have all these political theories and philosophies and things, I just never really thought of. And like I said, I was probably more of a liberal at the time, more of a Democrat. I know it's disgusting to think about, but
it's amazing.
So over years and years and years, I think Mark would tell you, he evolved too. Most of his philosophies came later after he went to college and met Butler Schaefer, which was one of his law professors. And that's when I started really, me and Mark really started talking about all these things, this thing called libertarianism that I'd never even really heard of. I mean, I may have heard the term, but I didn't know what it was, just like you a while back. I mean, thank you, Joe. You said you heard the term, but you didn't know what it was. So, and it was the same for me.
Right, I'm glad I learned what it was. Yeah. And I'm still learning every day what it means.
Yeah, most people, and here's the thing I find, most people are at least libertarian-minded. They just don't know it. Because you start questioning them, and then they go, yeah, I believe that. That's what I believe. Yeah, I believe I own myself. I believe people are entitled to, decide how they spend their money. And you start questioning them, and you find out they're at least libertarian-minded. They may not be full libertarians, but they're very much libertarian-minded. They may miss it on a few issues. People like to do that. They like to say, yeah, I'm for freedom, but then you start questioning them, and you find out, well, they're really not for as much freedom as you thought. But they usually are at least libertarian-minded. So that's what happened with Mark. We started kicking around these issues and started looking into this whole thing and I wrote an article, 10 years ago, and it's on LouRockwell.com, and it's called Enemy of the State. And what I meant by that was that, how I became an enemy of the state, because I went from my philosophy that, the government was good and the government, takes care of us and the government, to where I'm at today, where government is bad. They really have really overreached what they should be doing. And so I wrote this article called Enemy of the State, and it had to do with all those things, how I evolved from where I am now from where I was. And Mark is in there, but not by name. I mentioned Mark when I say something about a loudmouth friend of mine kept talking about freedom. That's Mark, but I didn't mention him by name. And so that's where this whole thing started. I wouldn't even be where I am today. I'd probably most likely still be smoking pot under a tree somewhere if I had not met Mark. Okay. But I'm very fortunate for that because Mark rubbed off on me in a lot of very, very good ways. So I do owe him a lot of thanks for that. So, that's how the thing came. Well, I know Mark. So, I guess we got another call there, Joe? Oh, he's just finishing up.
All right, thanks. Sorry.
That's all right.
So we have Jerome called in and said, so you have nerve.
Uh-oh.
Give me a couple of reasons that you think Obama isn't the greatest president who has ever lived. You're a lucky man to be in the U.S. Let's hear it. Jerome and Micah, Red Lake, Alabama.
This almost sounds staged. Are you sure someone didn't just decide to call in?
No, it wasn't.
No?
I kind of shorten them sometimes.
Yeah?
I mean, because this guy was...
Wow, so this is... what's his name again?
Jerome and Micah.
Jerome and Micah. Oh, two people. Jerome and
Micah. I think that's his wife.
Oh, okay, and they're in Alabama. Okay, well, Jerome and Micah, let me ask you this question. How has your life improved under Obama? What great things have come down your way that you would like to,
first of all, I can't imagine any president that somebody doesn't have disagreements with.
Oh, yeah, but there's...
what a crazy thing to ask.
And first of all,
these calls aren't even productive. That's what bothers me the most.
I know. People just want to
get on there. I'm not telling you not to call in. I'm just saying, my God, really give it some thought and give me a break. Why waste our freaking time?
If we were having a discussion, he was across from me, I would ask him, can you name some things that Obama has done for you? And I ask people this all the time. They always say Obama's great. And the first thing I say is, what has he done? And then they go numb. They don't have anything to say, or they come up with some crazy little thing about...
I had to put this guy on, but he was ranting about the health care and the welfare and this and that. Half the crap, I was like, what?
And most likely he's on all those programs.
Probably.
Which is why he likes Obama.
You're probably right.
Look, if you're
makes sense.
And it does make sense. If you're on the receiving end of these programs, they're great. I'm sure. Look, if you've got your hand in the government trough, you love it. Of course you do. But for the others out there who are the productive people in society who don't have their hand in the government trough, we find it absurd that people would think it's okay to steal from other people. We find it absurd.
I mean, maybe I'm lucky, or maybe I've just worked hard. But I've never been on an assistance program. I've never been in a welfare line. I've never gotten food stamps or anything like that.
I haven't either.
I mean... And I'm not putting people down that have hard times. I just want to make sure that you understand
people
that.
Have hard times, but don't at the same time act like you're entitled to it. Is what
But then you run across a hard time and you collect unemployment for 2 years.
Exactly. That's the problem. People love to milk this. They milk the system.
I'm in line behind a lady with food stamps who's buying T-bones and porterhouses. I'm looking, going, damn. And then she pulls out her food stamp card. I'm like, What?
I mean,
where do you get that?
I know. It's like, look, if we're going to be paying for that, at least you could do the decency of buying regular food, stuff that we can't even afford a lot of
But
times.
she's arguing. I was behind the same lady. I'll never forget this lady. She was arguing with the cashier because she couldn't buy this bottle of rum on food stamps. And I never knew you couldn't buy rum or what you can buy and what you can't buy.
I don't think you can buy alcohol
No,
cigarettes.
they did
Alcohol,
not allow it.
cigarettes,
She was bitching like you wouldn't
But
believe.
you know what, Joe? If you could, they would buy alcohol.
They
They would buy
only,
cigarettes
maybe, and sell it.
and lottery tickets. They would.
And they'd probably sell half of it and drink. Or maybe the alcohol, maybe they drink it all.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But that's what I mean, if you're on the receiving end of a government program, of course you like it, and of course you like Obama. Of course. You don't want your gravy train to end. I understand that. But to the rest of us, the productive people in society, we don't like it. We don't think it's right that we should have to fund somebody else. You don't have the right to live at the expense of anyone else. You just don't. And I don't care how much you think you do, you don't. So that's what we as libertarians go through all the time. We go through this trying to convince people that they don't have a right to live at other people's expense. You look like you got another good one there, Joe.
I almost have to say this on a daily basis. Look, guys, if I seem radical or crazy or nutty or anything, I'm allowed to give my opinion.
Sure you are.
There's no reason to call and yell at me because I'm just hanging up on you. I mean, that's just hanging up.
If they don't have anything to say, just hang up on them.
Absolutely, and that's what I do every time. Sometimes I have 7, 8 in a row.
Yeah.
And it's the way it is. But just do me a favor. Have something that is real to talk about.
I mean, what they just want to call
even if it's a comment.
Call up and say you're crazy, you're stupid. I mean, okay.
I already know I'm crazy and stupid.
Well, here's the
so
thing.
you don't have to tell me that. Okay?
I don't mind if you say I'm crazy or stupid. I don't
Right,
mind.
who cares?
But at least tell me why.
Right.
What is your reason for believing that? Don't just say you're an idiot, because that doesn't say anything. All that tells me is you're an idiot, because if you're not willing to tell me why I'm an idiot, that means you have nothing really to say. You don't have a point. You're just mad because I said something that offended you. Well, you know what? You don't have a right to not be offended in this country. That's a right you don't have. So get used to that. So, but anyway, I would hope we could get some really interesting calls in. That would be nice if
I'm
somebody.
going to take 2 minutes off the calls because the last two, same thing. Guy, you should be in a FEMA camp. What? Why? What did I do?
It's the statist idea of these people. It's sickening, Joe. I mean, you know what it is?
I should not be in a FEMA camp, by the way.
No, we've got a saying. It's like the cattle that licks the hand of the cattleman before going to slaughter. Have you seen that where? Just before the cattleman takes the cattle into slaughter, just before he goes there, the cattle goes in to get its head chopped up, he licks the hand of the cattleman to thank him for keeping him so well fed through the years.
God, that makes me want to cry.
And that's exactly
that makes me want to cry.
That's the
that
average person in this country. They want to lick the hand of their master for keeping them so well fed over the years, and they don't see the bigger picture. So, I mean, I'm used to it. I've dealt with this for years and years and years, Joe.
You must be pretty just hardened to the whole thing.
It is because you just want to get. I mean, you just want to throw your hands up. It's like, what's wrong with you people? You just don't understand.
The worst part is I don't really understand it. I really don't understand the other side, and I'm telling you, man, I try to sit and just absorb it and see where these people are coming from, and I start to understand it, but then read some of this other stuff or hear about it, and I'm like. There's just no way.
Well, there isn't. I mean,
there's just no way.
I mean, how do you make the other side's argument is what I wonder. How do you make that it's okay for me to steal from you? It's okay for others to steal from other people. How do you make that argument?
It's okay for the criminals to have guns only. It's okay to, put nonviolent offenders in prison for multiple years for doing nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
I mean, yeah, that's a good point there. The people that do things that don't harm other people, that may at best harm themselves, and even that's questionable, like smoking marijuana.
Oh, alcohol is fine, but marijuana's not.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
come on.
It's the government-approved drug. That's the difference. But that's a very good point. I mean, if you really own yourself, who should be the one that decides what you put in your body? Should you leave that up to the government, or should it be your decision?
They should ban citrus blossoms, ragweed. Shouldn't they? People have serious, allergies to those things. They're not good.
Yeah, and I wrote another article. I wrote quite a few articles actually over the years.
You got your book coming out?
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I hope so.
And it was called "Ban Everything," where I made fun of that.
Really, ban everything?
Just ban everything.
I want to read that article. Make sure you send me that.
One of the things I said was they need to ban old age because it's killing people. It's the number one killer. It's the number one killer in this country, Joe.
Wow.
Old age, number one killer in this country.
It should be
banned. It should be banned because it kills more people than anything else. So, but this is just the ridiculousness of it. But yeah, But getting back to what we were talking about with the libertarians, we've gone through this. I've gone through it. Mark's gone through it. We've actually, we have we've had a conversation. Mark mentions a lot of times a conversation we had in the gym one day with a guy who overheard us talking about libertarian things, and he decided he'd pipe in, and he told us, but the usual argument, like the callers, well, you're crazy. And so I asked him, well, why are we crazy? And he says, we have freedom in this country. And I said, we do? And he says, yes. You have the freedom to do whatever it is the government tells you have the freedom to do. That was freedom in his mind.
That was what he told you?
Yeah, that was actually what he said. Yeah, he really believed that was freedom.
I never thought I'd be faced with this kind of thing, but I hear quite a bit now when I'm talking to people, because obviously I'm trying to spread the freedom movement here, and I hear quite a bit, you're another one of those freaking libertarians. Yeah. I mean, is that what you get a lot?
Well, there's a post I made on my Facebook not too long ago. It said, libertarians have the radical idea that they want you to be free and then leave you alone.
That is a rough idea.
It's a radical idea, isn't it? Yeah. But if you go with that philosophy that you have the right to do whatever it is the government says you like to do, I guess using that philosophy, the Jews had the right to walk into the ovens, right? They had a right. They could either forcibly be thrown in or they could walk in. So they did have a right. They did have a choice there. I guess,
Is that really a choice?
Well, that's been.
I hope I was prompted to ask that.
Yeah, but I mean, according to that guy, it's a choice. The government gave them that choice. They had their choice. They could have either walked in or be thrown in. So hey, that was their choice, and they chose, to be thrown in. So, but this is where we're at. That's where
freedom.
That to him, that was freedom. Yes, and a lot of people feel that they're free because they have a right to make certain minuscule, crazy little things like what kind of car you want to drive.
There are laws against what kind of sex you can have.
They've been on
with your wife.
Yes, many laws like that.
I've broken a few of those.
Okay, we're not.
I'm not confessing to that.
We're not going there right now, Joe.
Not confessing to that.
But yes, but people think because they can make choices like where they eat or what kind of car they drive and things like, they think they are free because I get to do this. I get to.
I can go to Carl's Jr. I'm free.
Yeah, well, a lot of people believe that.
I mean, really, when it comes right down to it, I can see how they think that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that part of it.
But we've come a long way.
If that's all they're about.
We've come a long way in this country from where the founding fathers, what their philosophy was and the way they believed. These were men of freedom. These were men of peace. They were men of, ideas and philosophy. And today it's just, it's cradle to grave government, and it's ridiculous. And some of the callers that are calling in defending this, and just makes me just wonder, what happened? How did we get to where we are today? And I would like a caller to call in and actually have something to say. Don't just call in and make some crazy comment and expect to get on. But if you have something semi-intelligent to say, call in. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear why I'm wrong. As Mark says all the time, hey, tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it. And if you can convince me, I'll tell you. I don't think you can, but I would love to hear your argument. So feel free to call in. And tell me why I'm crazy, but then don't just say I'm crazy. Tell me why I'm crazy. Give me a reason why, and let's talk about it. And looks like we got another one that calls in. No, okay.
Just another whack job,
Oh, no.
in my opinion.
Yeah, what'd they say?
Not even worth talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Can't say those things on the air.
Oh, my God.
People love me today. Love me today.
What is the purpose? Why would you want to call in?
Some days it's like that, even on other shows. So
why wouldn't you want to call in and have something to say that might be talked about as intelligent? Why would you just want to call in?
People get mad.
Why?
They get mad. They feel like they're just... Maybe inside they know they're wrong.
That must
be
it.
And they know that they're feeling guilty, and they're like, there's nothing I can do about it, so let me just call and bitch and try to add to the dilemma here.
Why?
I don't know.
Why are you mad? Why are you mad? I mean, am I not entitled to have an opinion that's maybe different from yours? I mean, that's what I want to know. You're mad because my opinion is not the same as yours? Wow, what a great world that would be, huh? We all agreed and we all were the same. That would be great.
Isn't there a name for that?
Boredom?
I think that might be the name.
But I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that people are diverse. People have different ideas, and I love sitting around talking, Even people that disagree.
I just wish I could get some meat out of these calls.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not,
look, I love talking to people that
it's
disagree.
like 1 out of 10 there's any substance.
Because I want to know what it is. I've been looking for the answer on the other side for years. So if someone out there's got it, please call in.
Shoot
and
a question out there so people call in. What do you want to know?
Okay.
What do you want to know? Let's be specific, so let's get some real calls here. If you're mad, tell somebody else.
What is it that you feel as to why you do not own yourself? Why do you feel you do not own yourself? And if you feel that you do own yourself, how do you own yourself when the government can make all decisions involving your life? What substances you put in your body, how you spend your money, all these things. If you feel you're really free, I want to know how you're free. And I'd love to hear the other side to tell me why we're not free and why we should not be free. So tell me that.
And I would love for you to agree to go on the air, because I want people to hear you.
Yes.
I want Mike to hear you, and I want to hear on the air with everyone else listening why you feel the way you do.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, I will take a message and I will lay it across.
Hey, I'm here. Right here on the mic. I'm not scared of any question you may have.
We have that technology to put you on the air. Come on, let's use it.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, but most of these people they won't, because, like you said, Joe, I think they really know.
I want them to go on the air right now. I want to hear a voice on the air, not on the phone.
Well,
let's see if we can catch one here.
A lot of these people, though, Joe, I mean, I think, like you said, they know that their argument is weak. They know their argument is weak, so they don't want to be on the air and do that. So, but hopefully somebody will call in, because that's a question I've wondered about for years. I mean, I find it very bizarre that I have to sell freedom to people. It seems like something that you wouldn't have to sell. It seems like something that people would just freely accept. But when I start talking about things like this, people get angry, and they start, getting violent, almost to the point of violent, and I don't understand it. Why would you get violent or angry? Even if you disagreed with me, why would you get mad about it? Why wouldn't you just tell me why you disagree? But people can't do that. I love hearing the other side. I love having discussions with people that differ from me, because it gets old after a while singing to the choir. I mean, me and Mark can sit around and talk about these things for hours, but we're going to be like, yes, 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 yes. And that's great, but it gets boring. So, yeah, I like to hear from other sides. So, don't be afraid to call in. If you think we've got it wrong, I'd love to hear why. And tell me why. But that's the key. Tell me why. Don't just say you're wrong. That's what bothers me about the other side, is they don't really have an argument. They just like to spout out obscenities and things like that. So it looks like Joe's smiling over here. I guess he's got a good one. We'll see what this is.
Yeah, but he wouldn't go on the air.
No?
William Burrow from Carlton, North Carolina, says, I'm free. I eat what I want, drive where I want, I do what I want. I'm free. You're nuts.
Okay. All right. I'm nuts. All right.
Okay. So let's elaborate on that.
Yeah. Let's talk about your freedom.
I do not want to talk about your nuts, by the way.
Okay, Joe. Well, I mean, actually, he said you are nuts, not you're nuts.
Right. Exactly.
There's a difference.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. All right. But let's talk about the how free he is. I mean, I would like to ask him what would happen if he stopped paying income tax. Would his freedom end when the IRS came and beat down his door and took everything he owned? I mean, if he really owns everything, if he owns his house and he owns all his property, how is it that somebody else can come in and take that property at a whim anytime they feel like it?
But he eats what he wants.
Well, he eats what he wants. Okay. Do you really? What about if you want to eat a brownie laced with marijuana? Could you do that? I mean, you could, but if you get caught or somebody tells on you something, then you're in trouble. I mean, let me put it this way. Can you freely, without worry of any kind of penalty, do something like that? Can you smoke a joint? Can you do any of these things like that? That would.
Can you drive 90 miles an hour down the freeway?
Yeah, I mean,
we could get stupid with this.
Yeah, I mean, but there are certain things that obviously have to be in place.
Right. I know.
And I understand that. I'm not saying that the freedom means that you have the freedom to do whatever you want. That's not what we're saying.
I mean, if you're a real extreme sports person, can you go to the top of a building and jump off in Vegas? Well, people, I mean, no, that's a real thing. People love to do that. They get in trouble all the time for that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It seems to me to be a self-inflicted punishment.
It might be a little radical, but some people love that.
If you jump off a building in Vegas, you're going to probably have that's going to be your
punishment. People love that stuff, though.
They do?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know
about that. Because we were not into it. I wouldn't do it.
I mean, I don't know anything about that, but all I'm saying, and let me clarify this. I'm not saying that people should have the right to do whatever they want. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying people should have the right to do whatever they want with their property, as long as what they do with their property does not infringe on someone else's equal right to do the same thing with their property. And that's all we're saying. So that, because you're going to get the calls, Joe, they're going to say, oh, really? So you can do anything. So I should be allowed to murder somebody. I should be allowed to rape somebody. No, you shouldn't. Because obviously you are now using your property in such a way that it infringes on somebody else's property. And that's where we draw the line. That's you have a right to use your property up until the point where you are now infringing on someone else's right to do the same. And if you look at that, I mean, that takes care of all that stupidity of, what about if I want to kill somebody? What about if I want to rape somebody? What about if I want to steal from somebody? No, of course not. Because now you are infringing on that person's equal rights. So if you just look at it as what we say, that you have the right to do whatever you want with your property, as long as you don't infringe on somebody, what could be wrong with that?
I can't see a single thing.
Seriously, where's the problem? Why is that so hard to figure out? I mean, this whole thing, and the caller that said he was free, I mean... I drive what I want. I eat what I want. I drive where I want. I do what I want. Okay. I am free, and you are not. He doesn't do what he... Well, he may do what he wants. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to do any of these other things, so that's true. I guess, he's free in his mind. But to be totally free, I mean, if I own something, if I own this, I say this is mine. I can do whatever I want with it, right? I can possess it. I can choose to sell it to you. I could just take a hammer and destroy it if I wanted to.
You can't hit me in the face with it, though.
No, because then I'm assaulting
right.
you. But that again is where we draw the line. But anything I do with this that doesn't involve force on another person, or a fraud or force on another person, I ought to be able to do with this. So if I want to, like I said,
swallow it.
Keep it.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to swallow it, you could.
I guess I could. I don't know why anybody would want to swallow it, but okay. But more to the point, Joe, if I wanted to just keep it and possess it, or I wanted to sell it to you, or I wanted just to destroy it, as long as in the process of destroying it, I didn't hurt anybody else, a piece flies off, hits somebody in the face, as long as none of that happened, nobody ought to have the right to say what I do with this. It's mine. So if you agree with that, why wouldn't you agree the same with your body? Why would you say, okay, that's true with that phone, but you don't have that freedom with your body? Why? If you don't own yourself, you don't own anything.
And what do you own?
Exactly. What do you own if you don't own yourself?
Wow.
So when someone says, yeah, I get that, you own that, but you don't have that same right with your body, I want to know why. And these people that say I'm free, there's an old saying that says, none are more so helplessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they are free. And that's what I would say to that caller. He falsely believes he's free. He's not free. He just thinks he convinced himself in his mind that he's free. And but if you really want to test that theory, I would say stop paying your income tax, and let's see how free you are for how long. That's what I would like to see. So, no, you're not free. You're just free to do whatever it is that your masters tell you can do. And choosing to eat a certain food or drive a certain... That's not real freedom. That's just living within the bounds that your masters have set for you. They've given you an extra link on your chain. That's all that is. You still got chains. You just have an extra link that somebody else, somewhere else in the world doesn't have. And that's the only difference between you and them. And so, no, I mean, I still haven't got the call that I'm looking for. Why I'm wrong. Why it's wrong to believe the way I do. Why is it wrong to believe that I'm free? Or I should be free, I should say. Why is it wrong to believe that I should be free and you should be free and we all should be free? And where's the problem in this? I want to know why this is such a crazy idea that people should be free. That's what I want to know. And I still haven't got that call, but I'd love to get it. And I don't know how much more time we have today. It looks like we got about 7 minutes here. So if you want to call in, that would be great. If not, we'll just continue to bat back and forth here. I think Joe's taking a call now, and we'll see what that's about. But we continue to bat back and forth here, the ideas that we have here, and freedom. And freedom is the answer. What's the question? As my good friend Ernie Hancock likes to say. And I would like to hear why that's such a crazy philosophy. It'd be very interesting. Okay. So anyway, we got about 6 more minutes left here of the show. And like I said, Mark will be back next week. And we'll have another show. Probably, we haven't decided what this topic's going to be next week, but we'll let everyone know ahead of time. What do we got?
We're not getting a call we want today.
No.
Bishop Rasmussen out of Mesa, Arizona.
Oh wait, what?
Bishop. I'm not sure what
he's
that
a
is.
bishop? Okay.
I'm not sure. It could be Mormon bishop or some.
Okay.
I don't know what. Anyway, I don't ask.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mesa, Arizona, though, right here in our hometown. Just because you like prostitutes, drugs, marijuana, assault weapons, and you push your extreme beliefs because you have enough money to buy radio airtime like most people don't, does not give you the right to pollute everyone's beliefs and lead them astray to the devil.
Okay, first of all...
and that's his opinion,
okay,
right?
Fine,
this guy absolutely believes that.
All right, but let's start out with this. First of all, I never said I liked any of that, did I? Did I ever say
I didn't hear you say you like prostitutes.
Never said I like prostitutes. Never said I like drugs. But see, that's the difference between me and you, Bishop. That's the difference.
How did he assume that?
I don't pretend to know what other people how they should live their lives. I don't particularly like most of that stuff you just mentioned, but I'll tell you this. That's me.
But
I have the right to decide that for myself, but I don't have the right to decide that for other people. See, that's where you and I differ. You think because you don't like those things, you think nobody else should like those things.
And I am not hammering on a religion here by any means.
No,
but
I'm not either.
But I was told by a high-ranking Mormon, I'm not sure what he was or what he is, a high-ranking Mormon, maybe bishop or higher even, that the prophets come down and tell him this. Tell him what he can. And I said, we can, this whole religion thing can be unraveled. Take a photo of the prophet. I mean, we need to get it out into the public, right?
Well, I'm not going to get into religion on this show.
I'm not either, but I'm just saying.
This has nothing to do with religion. You can be any religion and be a libertarian. I've got friends of mine that are both religious and non-religious, and they're libertarians. So it has nothing to do with religion at all. But what it has to do with is freedom. And Bishop, it sounds like to me you don't feel that people should have the right to make decisions about their own property. You think that should be left up to the government or maybe God or somebody, like I don't know who, but you don't think that people should be able to decide for themselves what they do. That's the difference between us. You never heard me make a claim on the show that I like any of the stuff. Prostitutes, drugs, none of that. And I'm not going to stay one way there because it doesn't matter.
It makes no difference.
My opinion doesn't matter. I mean, what I like and dislike doesn't matter. I don't get to decide for other people. That's their choice. Because I don't like something, there's a lot of things I don't like. I don't smoke. I don't particularly like smoking. It irritates me when I'm around a room and a bunch of people are smoking. But you know what? It's not my life, and I don't want to tell other people. So as long as they're not infringing on me by blowing the smoke in my face and forcing me to be there, I don't have a right to talk about that. That's their choice whether they want to smoke or not. And this is very simple stuff. So, no. I'm not doing anything. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything with their lives.
You're not polluting people's beliefs?
Not at all. All I'm simply saying is you have the right to pollute or non-pollute your own mind without government interference. That's all I'm saying. And I don't want to do anything to anybody. I don't want to tell them how to live their lives. That's the last thing in the world I want to do. But I don't want them to tell me how to live mine either. And you don't see it that way. You see that because I'm talking about this stuff that I'm somehow corrupting other people. And I'm not doing that at all. I'm trying to uncorrupt them, actually. What choices they make are not my business. If somebody chooses to see a prostitute, that is none of my business. As long as they're both consenting adults, that's the key here. As long as they're both consenting adults, it is not my business what two consenting adults do in the privacy of their own room.
Can I ask you a question, Mike? And I wish Mark were here right now, but just to get another perspective is all I mean. How do you think this... everything becoming illegal and not allowed. No, how did this come into play, man? When did they say, okay, the oldest profession in the world, prostitution, is now illegal. Marijuana is now, I know how that is, but it's now illegal. Doing this is now illegal. You can't eat that, but you can do that. How?
Well, there's been it's been an idea to force other people's morality on, it's the minority forcing their morality on the majority. It's what it really is. They don't like these things. Like somebody doesn't like he was talking about, somebody doesn't like prostitution. They have a very, and you know what? We're not even here to discuss whether prostitution is moral or immoral. That has nothing to do with this discussion. But what we're discussing is that you don't have a right to decide for other people what they do.
You can't make up your own mind.
You can't legislate morality. They've been trying to do it for hundreds of years. like Joe just mentioned, prostitution. It's the oldest profession. Why do they call it the oldest profession? Because it's been around since the beginning of time. They haven't been able to stop it. They won't stop it today. They won't stop it tomorrow. They won't stop it ever. It's never going to end. Just like the drug war, they are never going to stop people from doing drugs, because if people want drugs, they're going to do them. So all we can simply do is try to live our lives as best we can for ourselves and stop trying to live everyone else's life. Because you don't like something, great. That's fine. You don't have to do it. But you don't have the right to tell other people what to do.
And that's the great part of it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it.
Yes, exactly.
But you don't need to tell your neighbor that they need to do it because you don't do it.
You know, and it's ridiculous that somebody would think that they somehow what makes their who knows if their morality is even right. I mean, they want to be the one to use their morality as the model here. Like, my morality is better, we should use my morality. I mean, it's absolutely absurd, and these people that think that they have the right to control other people and tell them how to live their lives. And I'm the crazy one. I'm the crazy one because I'm simply saying, hey, you know what? I don't own you. You do what you want. You may do things that I may think are crazy, and I may even tell you I think they're crazy, and I can tell you I think they're crazy, but I can't stop you from doing it, and I wouldn't want to. And
if you think you're free because you can go to Dunkin' Donuts and choose between 24 varieties, that does not make you free.
That's not freedom.
I think we should jump off at that note.
Okay, Joe, take us out. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. Mark will be back next week at the regular time. You can always reach Mark at www.attorneyforfreedom.com. And drop him a line. You can tell him you thought the guy that filled in for him was a nut if you want. and
we truly do appreciate all the calls in, except for the ones yelling at me, which suck.
Yeah,
but we thank you for all calling in and giving us, your side, your opinion. One day we're going to get the call we want. I hope. I mean, there's got to be people out there. How come the Libertarians aren't calling in?
I don't know.
Or am I just not grabbing the right lines?
Well,
I mean, that could be.
Maybe they don't want to preach to the choir.
True.
It's kind of the same. They already get this. They get this stuff. So, yeah.
I would guess that this is making a change on some people's life, and if that's the case, then it's a great show.
We change one mind, right?
That's right.
As Mark says, if we change the hearts and mind of even one person, we've done our job.
That's right.
All right, Joe,
all right.
Take us out.
What's the question? You have been listening to the Attorney for Freedom radio show, hosted by the original man of peace and high-profile attorney for freedom, Mark J. Victor. See you next week, same time, for another dose of freedom. Until then, peace out.